Hello and welcome to Welcome Home Radio. The waters in the mortgage industry can be pretty muddy, whether it's investing, leasing, renting, home insurance, or myths and misconceptions. Welcome Home Radio has the answers for you, the consumer. And now, to help you make the right home buying decision for you and your family, here are your hosts.
And welcome to Welcome Home Radio and Happy New Year. Welcome 2021. This is your mortgage market update for January 6th, 2021. Stocks are lower this morning and mortgage bonds are sharply lower. Bonds are moving in a strong way, raising interest rates. And wow, what month of sales in December and November. Pending home sales, which measures signed contracts on existing homes, were down 26%, but overall year to year is up almost 17%. The decline is due to the lack of not the lack of demand, but the lack of supply. And I'm sure Alan will have some insight to that. But very impressive numbers, being up almost over 16% year over year growth. The ADP employment report showed a loss of 123,000 jobs in December. Now, this is much lower than the expected 130, and Friday we'll get the BLS jobs report, and it's potentially showing 65,000 in job creation. And finally, the MBA released their mortgage application data this morning. Overall, a decrease in loan apps by almost 4%. Refis were down 6%, but they are a year-over-year growth, 100% year over year for 2020. Now, with 2020 in rearview mirror, and we're going to take time today to look at what we learned in 2020 and what we can at least see in the future of 2021. And joining me as always, Alan Pace with Fathom Realty. Glad to have you here, Alan. Hope you're doing well. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Blair. Good afternoon. How are you?
Oh, I'm awesome. I am awesome. And also joining us today, the head monkey butt of KBGI Media is going to join us as well. Mark, are you here? I don't see him yet, but he'll be joining us shortly as well. You know, Alan, we talked about what we wanted to do, and listeners, please put in your comments. Tell us what your thoughts are. We're also going to be really pushing on YouTube. Follow us, like us, share our videos. We are really going to be out there on YouTube this year coming up. But what did you learn in 2020? What is the one key thing that you took away, Alan, for 2020 and moving forward into 2021 this year?
It was like no other year I ever lived in. I don't know if you can say there's one thing I've learned, but as far as keeping it specific to real estate, I think I'm like most people. I underestimated it at the beginning of the year based on the outbreak of the COVID in the United States. So, January through March was not great. January's off to a good start. And February was going decent, but then it kind of all stopped, right?
Yeah.
And then the really surprising thing is, it turns out many people in real estate and lending, and Tom was here in learning also, had record years, some of their best years ever. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I definitely agree, but I think the one primary thing I learned in 2020 was that real estate is a great investment tool, no matter where you're at. If you're buying just to have a home for your family, or you're investing, it has become a tool to cash out and pay off debt, a debt consolidation tool. It is just a good thing to do. Invest in yourself is really investing in a home. And I saw that more and more, especially with jobs moving home. Homes become more of a priority. They're wanting more room. They're wanting an office space now to work from home. They want to be able to close the door, work, and then open the door, leave it there, but get into the rest of the part of the building. But I just see real estate overall as a great investment for anyone out there. And Mark, we're asking, what is the one thing you took away from 2020? What did you learn during this year?
You know,
besides that, you can live in cold weather.
yeah, and that's for sure. At least a good 8 to 10 inches of snow sitting out there, ice and snow. You know, Mother Nature has to throw some curveballs at you. You know, if the government's not throwing curveballs, then Mother Nature's throwing curveballs.
There you go.
But you know, the thing is I kind of want to say that it was more of simple focus on you. Probably was my biggest takeaway, because there was a time there where I was like everybody else, kind of somewhat in a panic mode, not sure what's going to happen in the future. You know, everything's closing down. First couple of weeks, it was like, okay, so we can't go to restaurants. Okay, so we can't go to bars. Okay, so we can't go shopping. It's okay. We'll just stay at home for a while, you know. And then you get 3 or 4 weeks into that, then it's kind of like, oh crap, now what do we do? But I learned to go with the punches, and I learned to focus on me. And I think it was because support system behind me. My wife had said, real clear, was why don't you take some time off? You know, relax for a minute. You've been a business owner for 30 something years. You've gone 24/7, 90 miles an hour. Slow down. You know, take 6 months, take 5 months, take whatever you need, but you know, relax a little bit and do some things around that you want to do. And I think that was it. I can't say I did it right off the bat. I think it took me 3 or 4 months, maybe even 5 months, to finally get comfortable where I didn't feel guilty not doing anything. But I started focusing on me. That was probably where I think a lot of people got in November and December. They started going back to focusing on their family. And I think that's what you're going to see this first 3 to 6 months of this year, is people just trying to figure out what's normal for them and focus on them and their family. So that was my big takeaway.
Sounds like a good one. You know, again, 2020 in the rearview mirror. We're looking forward to 2021. I think we all have good and bad stories to share, but one of the biggest ones that I see, and that is still going to move into 2021, is the job market shifting. People being sent home to work from home remotely, that they're finding themselves to be more productive. What do you guys take away? Now, Alan, you have a different view, because refurbishing a home, working from home, and looking to buy a home that has office space as opposed to somebody going to the office all the time. I see a major shift in our job business, our job market industry, people able to work anywhere. Mark, you moved in 2020. You moved far away from Texas, we're sorry to say, but you know, we know you're enjoying the cold and the snow, and
right.
But you're able to work anywhere. What do you guys take away from this? What do you see as either positive, negative, or just as takeaway for moving into 2021 with this move to remote learning, remote work, remote? Is it successful? Is it not? What's going to happen?
Well, in real estate, I see continued demand for housing. 2021 is going to start off really strong, and already has. I'm sure you're seeing that with loan applications as well. So real estate wise, I think we're in good shape. Business wise, people I talk to, some companies are trying to zone in on what is the month of 2021 that we can start moving some of our folks back to the office. I think there are companies that want to do that in all facets of business. I also know some folks that never did stop going to the office, except for there you go, except for the first few weeks of the pandemic. So I wish I could tell you I could know what's going to happen, but I've never been through this either. But I think it's a cool dynamic, the way people are, housing's become, even though it's always been your best investment, even though it's always been where you spend the majority of your time, all of a sudden, housing got a kick in the butt again. It's now even more important. And how can a place you live be more important than where you live? Well, it's because it's where you work. And although a lot of us who are in these type positions that we're in, I can work out of my home. Fathom is a complete cloud-based real estate company, and we don't have an office. If I need one, I can get one. But so we're used to it, but others are not, and it's been an adjustment period. The kids are at home being schooled. Mom and dad are together 24/7 versus that 7, 8, 10-hour break. regardless of its mom going off to work and coming home or dad. So that dynamic's changed. I think we've seen a focus on family. Mark got to that earlier. He's exactly right. People are now focusing on the family.
Yeah.
Now, have we always should have been doing that? Yeah. But, you know, we've taken a big thing out of this equation, and that's leaving the house, getting in a car, driving, you know, round trip. You know, of course, Mark, you know, where he is now, it's not a big deal, but, you know, down here in the Big D, it's all highways. And so, you know, lots of stuff are changing. Expenses are changing. The tollways are now having to, you know, they're struggling a little bit with their revenue. They're building roads and building roads and building roads, and nobody's driving on them. That does not equate. So some changes are going to be made there. But a lot of stuff is going on. But if you want to just talk about housing and lending, I think the first 6 months of 2021 are going to be fabulous.
Do you see right now there's a pent up demand? I mean, I have more pre-approvals out there than I've ever had, and people not able to find homes, people not able to find a place to even offer a lot of times.
It's real.
And I think it's, you know, supply has got to increase in some sort, because it used to be people like me, I should be downsizing right now. Well, I'm not. I upgraded during this past year in the sense of I redid some floors, redid some carpet, redid a kitchen and a bathroom, made it more livable so that we could sustain where we're at and we don't want to move. That home probably should have gone to a younger family, growing family. You're going to see more of that. So there's pent up demand that I really wonder how people are going to handle it. Plus, those that are apartment renting, they need to work from home. Guess what? Apartments don't grow or don't have excess room. It's going to be hard on them and their families, because you're learning from home, working from home, everybody's home. You know, mama's going to be asking for a coffee break and she's going to go get it in Fort Worth. And
you brought up a whole neat thing there, because when real estate's booming and lending is booming and people are refinancing, taking equity out, well, when housing's doing that, it's also bringing up those that support housing. Windows and doors, flooring, carpets, things like that. Well, those prices have come up a little bit too. You know, you try to hire a handyman, you know, in Frisco, go ahead. You know, they're hard to find. And when you do find one, it's 4 or 6 weeks waiting because you get your turn. So when demand is high, their labor's a little higher, and all that's happening too. But you're right. You're the exact thing that's happened in Dallas, Fort Worth, and other places around the country. People are fixing their homes up because they're going to work out of them. And, you know, the word staycation has been popular. You know, we're going to put the pool in, and we're going to, you know, maybe take out that tree and make a better backyard, more room for the kids and animals and things like that. I don't know. A lot going on there. A lot.
I agree. Mark, what do you see from, you know, you made a major move moving across country. You've seen, you know, as a business owner, what dichotomy do you see moving into 2021? Do you see a generational issue in any which way? Sometimes these kids now, speaking of my own son-in-law, was able to move from state to state and still have the same job.
Yeah.
And go and live where he wanted to live in Colorado, as opposed to staying in Dallas close to his corporate office.
Well, I think Alan's right on a lot of those things. I think there's another part of this that we're probably not going to see for a while. I don't know if we'll see it 100% in 2021 or in 2022. And that's business changes. And for me, you know, I was already making the move before it. I was expecting to keep my company in Texas for the foreseeable future at that point, right? But at some point, I had to look at the numbers and go, okay, I'm going to be paying for probably 3 or 4 or 5 months for nothing, and I don't know if I'm going to have any clients. Obviously, nobody's going to come in, and so for me, I have to say I'm a little fortunate because I got a little lucky being able to transition and just shut it down and move here and go virtual. I think the companies that had to make the biggest change had to look at the same thing. They had to go, okay, we got to continue doing business. So we got to work around the holes. And the holes are, can't have everybody come into the office. So let's adapt. And I can tell you that some of the biggest companies out there had almost nobody working from home. And then all of a sudden they had to have 15,000, 30,000 employees start working at home. Now, that didn't happen for a long period. That happened for a short period, call it 2 months, 3 months, or a couple of weeks, until they could adapt and say, okay, now you can come back in. We've got now measures in place and plastic between transitions, and you got to wear a mask and, wipe your hands everywhere you go and all that jazz. But what's really going to be interesting is the small business. And where is that going to go? Now, small business, and I'm not talking about medium to large. I'm just talking about small business. I'm talking to mom and pops that open up restaurants and bars and small little businesses that have no intention of ever going to a medium business. Okay. Those are the ones that are going to be hurting in the next 6 months to a year, if they're even going to be around, if they're even not around yet. So what's going to happen is two things. You're going to have that one symptom of, I had to shut my business down. Now I don't know what I'm going to do. So I either go work for somebody, or I wait to see where this is going to go. I take some time off and I roll it out until I finally get to a point where I'm an entrepreneur and I can start it over again or do something else. Now I get to recreate, reinvent myself. The other part of this is they went through that system, and can they sustain that? Did we get enough economy? Did it come back fast enough? Were we able to sustain that? Because at some point, all the lenders and mortgage people out there and the small business loans and all those are going to get back to normal at some point. And if you don't have anything ramped up to that point, all of a sudden your bills that you are paying and the employees you're paying are now going to shoot up through the roof. And I feel that's going to happen in the summer of this year to fall. And you're going to find out a lot of companies just can't make it, and they're going to be hurting, filing bankruptcy. I think it's going to be across the board, and it's going to hurt. What's that put on regular people? It's going to put a lot of force on there. I think families are going to choose to hey, I'm going to go back to work. I'm going to go find a different job, or I'm going to find a second job, or you know what? I think we can make it till Christmas and I'll get a second job. So I think it's going to be a lot of different transitions, but I think the most important part is you're going to find families and businesses trying to figure out how to work together. And
what I hear you saying, and it reminds me of a book that I really think anybody in business, whether you're working in business in any way or owning a business, should read, but it's called Who Moved My Cheese? And everybody's going to be looking to react in some way. Our business model is going to change in some way. And if we're not adjusting to it, what I hear you say, you will die off. You will become non-essential, necessary. One of the things that I think is very important, there's two key things that I want to bring up before our time is up here. One of them is we're hearing of renters moving back home in a large quantity. Literally over 67% renters are moving back into home with mom and dad or grandma. They're stopping to rent because rent is continuing to go up. There's a cost. And if they're not maxed out at 100%, they've got to spread their total cost over maybe 60% rental. And of course, costs go up. What do y'all see as an impact to this, that renters are returning home to parents, and that we're having the rebound kids or the boomerang kids or whatever you want to call them? Is there something coming up? Is that generational home, Alan, going to be more important to us? Is that us staying in home and having space and working from home, now all of a sudden that's getting invaded?
I see that as happening. I don't think it's necessarily a long-term trend. There is definitely a shift in wealth going on again. Everything Mark said is true. The one thing I think maybe didn't get said was all those people on their way out are borrowing a lot of money too, trying to stay afloat now. And it kind of goes to the lending aspect of things. So, I think, and I don't know, I know the politics of this country is changing quickly. And we're going to go a different direction for a while, it looks like. And I don't know what that is going to turn out to be. But I do know that in a market like where we live, specifically DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth, we're going to continue to have job growth, in my opinion. and we're going to continue to have people moving here from around the world. And this airport is an amazing thing that runs Dallas Fort Worth. This airport is what really gets this thing going. So I think locally we're going to be fine. Now I think other cities are going to suffer more.
Well, I got to say, we're not going to suffer too much. We got the PGA headquarters just right up the road from my office with 2 brand new golf courses being built. So, yes, I'm going to get to go use these wonderful Pro V1s here. I mean, soon.
Oh, what does it say on one of them golf balls, I wonder? I wonder what it says.
Hey, we don't want to go there yet.
Okay.
But you bring up the other topic I wanted to bring up. Renters are returning home. Rental prices are going up. The other area is forbearance.
Yeah.
They've extended forbearance. People are extending, whether it's student loans or it's a mortgage or it's an auto payment. People are going into forbearance blindly, and ultimately those debts become due. They can't be rolled into at the end. There's a payment that's required. And if they haven't been saving their money, their stimulus checks, or they're not prepared to do a lump sum, I see a huge foreclosure. It's been proven anyone that's going into forbearance, barely 19% come out. 19%. That means 81% of those people are going to go through a critical time of foreclosure.
That means 81% of people going into it didn't understand what they were doing.
Well, that's why we tried to warn them when that came out as an option. I put a video out there. I did everything I could to educate people about forbearance. But if 81% is not coming out and there's over 3.8 million, that means there's over 2.8 million people going into some type of debt. Some type of home is going to be made available due to foreclosure processes happening in 2021. And I think we're kicking the can down the road when we continue to push this down the road further. It's going to come. I see a major hit to the real estate industry with the situation, and we just our leadership in kicking it down the road is delaying the outcome for people. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know. I don't know what's best here. I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to get a feeling about it. But with almost 3 million people going into foreclosure when it comes due, there's going to be a lot of home glut available across our nation.
I think like other businesses, like I said earlier, there's a shift in wealth going on. So when people are moving out of homes, landlords still own the homes, the investors, they're fine. Okay, they'll find somebody else generally, or they'll sell the property and go buy another one. So the other thing is, if you've noticed with what Mark was talking about, small business, well, guess who gets that business? Big business. So you notice Amazon bought 85 planes recently, and 19 of them are already rocking and rolling. So of course, FedEx and UPS and the other guys are like now seeing what's going on. They're being invaded. So Amazon's going to take some of that business. It's a shift as well. And those that have are getting more. And I think it's going to be that way somewhat in housing for a while, because I remember back in 2006 and 7, I was selling a lot of foreclosures in Frisco. I mean, right off of Main Street. And they were tremendous bargains, but there was no lack of people with the money and the cash to buy them. And those are the same people that are doing it again when the forbearance thing hits. They're ready. They're primed. And if you want to talk about it even deeper, you take a home builder. These home builders, a lot of them bought these properties 20 years ago. Okay? They look ahead. And then as the property, people move out and their property becomes more valuable, they subdivide it and build homes and make a fortune. Same thing with when the economy's hurting. A good example is the owner of the Dallas Stars from Vancouver. 20 years ago, he was buying Dallas when Dallas was hurting. And they come in, and I learned that early on in the manufacturing business I was in. The owner of our company in '87, I was a young man just starting out, and he goes, don't worry about this 87 thing. It's an opportunity for those of us that have. And by God, he was buying properties, manufacturing equipment that other companies were going out of business. It's a reshift of the wealth. And that, I will tell you, has developed into a major, major company. And that will continue on, in my opinion. And we're going to come out of this okay, I think.
Did I just hear we need to move into mergers and acquisitions now?
Well, it matters because of the employment. It does matter because Mark asked, where are those people going to work?
Yeah.
Well, they need jobs.
Right.
And those jobs will be created, but it's just shifting. And I think eventually, like everything else, it'll shift again.
Yeah.
And we'll see small business rise and be very strong again someday.
Well, I think for Kim and I, we've done some different things. I don't know if anybody's tried to change their marriage or their financials or their future, their home, their family, everything that's kind of in between. You know, I've never played stocks before. Never. In fact, it was just something that was like an ex, you know, I don't want to touch it. But I ended up getting into some stocks and buying some stocks because I started looking at the future going, you know what? I could have gotten into Apple and Microsoft a long time ago, but right now that's kind of out of my price range that I'm willing to spend. But, you know, I started playing with some really low stocks and I started off, I did something really simple. And it's a true story. I started out with $100 and I put in some stocks and I did a couple of $5, $10 here stocks and stuff. And next thing I know, I made $300 and I moved it up. And right now I'm at like $1,400, $1,500 and I've only done it for 3 months. And, but I moved and shifted it so that whenever it's kind of like gambling, right? You win something, I take that money and I put it towards something else. So I've only put $150 of my own cash in this and everything else is in there. And now I'm already making dividends. It's not much. It's $14, $20. But the point is I started looking at it going, if I just let it go and continue going, it's like telling people put money in your savings. Well, the people that have made it right now, I think have had money in savings. They've had some financials. I know for a fact I've got 2 or 3 friends that have pulled out of their 401s because there's some companies that you can pull out your 401s and on your paychecks, you can pay it back. And so you can get that money back into your 401. And they've done that for like a 12-month payment. So they could have a little bit more cushion to get through things. But I think I'm finding out that for Kim and I, we just started focusing on us. We started to focus on, you know, what are we spending? Where are we going? What are we doing? You know, yes, it was a change of move and everything, but we just adapted. But we noticed that things are slower here. Economy's a little bit less. But honestly, going to town, I didn't see anything different other than people wearing a mask. Everybody's going about their business because I don't know what the percentage is here on people that live here full time versus people that this is their vacation home. Because there's a lot of that. In fact, I know that for a fact I've got 6 properties within
That's another term of snowbirds there.
Yeah, well, I don't have anybody within a mile and a half from me, but those 3 homes that are that close, they're not rental. They're vacation homes. And the family that lives the closest to me, which is about a mile and a half, they as soon as it started getting cold weather, they're out and they went to Florida. And that's where they live full time. And then they just come here for the spring and summer because they love it up here. But the others that are here, they just go about normal life. Things slowed down. We couldn't go shopping in some stores, but I never saw that much traffic change. I didn't see much people not going out. Michigan was probably a little bit different than some other states. We did have some harsher from our governor on things. But I think what I ended up realizing is that people just became resilient. It just took it with a punch, got up the next morning, made it with the best they can. And I think that's what Kim and I did. We just kind of rolled with the punches. It was unfortunate that we moved right in the middle of it all, that we had to finalize and just get here. But I wouldn't change it. You know, I'll end with this. This is something I've been telling a few good friends lately. I've had friends that are emotionally having issues with not getting what they wanted this last year. Some are from financials to business to job to relationships. And I try to tell people that, you know, you can't fix the past. And in fact, you can't actually fix the future. You can only change today to change tomorrow. So you have 2 feet, you have two hands, you have one brain, and guess what? I hate to say it, but you're the only one in control. No one can control you. They can guide you and they can mentor you and coach you, but you're the only one that can move forward, and you're the only one that can change what you do. Your wife can't do it. Your family can't do it. Yep. Only you. When you can focus on you, everything around you can become happiness, can become change. And I think I've seen that through a lot of my friends. I think the first 3 months was like, and then all of a sudden it was like, you know what? Okay, I'll just sit here in my PJs and I'll work from the house for a while. Okay, this is the normal. And I'll be crazy on Zoom and, things like that. But then now people are starting to get out and start doing things. So I think it's going to be another shift. But at the end of the day, I go back to what I originally started with. That's focus on you.
Yeah. Good. Hey, we're going to be changing up the format. Want to share this with everybody. Again, I'm sorry to freak you out, Mark. I apologize. But Welcome Home Radio is going to go to every other week. We're going to go to 26 shows a year. And we're also going to be focused on YouTube. So please find us, like us, follow us there, share the videos. But we want to give you better content, meaningful content in a shorter period of time. So we also are going to have a max 45 minutes. Sometimes it could be just 30 minutes, maybe like today a little. But the bottom line is we're trying to come and give you quality, not just quantity. So going into this new year, I think, guys, we've given a good overview. We've got still real estate is a great investment, great opportunities. I think any family that's out there, they're going to be working from home, schooling from home. The job market is changing. I think it's going to be continually. We've got to figure out who moved my cheese and where is it. But as Mark says, only you can go out and do that. Hey, if you're going to lose weight and you're still going to eat a dozen donuts today, it's just not going to add up. You got to change a process, and it takes 21 days to create a habit. So breaking habits are hard. Adding habits are hard, but it takes 21 days. And I think Mark said it very well. Only you can control that. So I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Mark and Alan, for joining us. Happy New Year. Great 2021. And please, if you can find us on YouTube, like us, share us, and follow with us. Any last words?
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is to all the people that are listening too is that we have some really cool guests that are going to be coming on. And it'll be every other week, like Blair said, but we got some cool people that are going to be joining us about different subjects in real estate and the lending process and other issues too. Veterans will be on. A lot of good stuff coming up. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I am too. Mark, any last words?
Well, if you don't mind, I'm just going to do a small plug that I'm going to be doing my own podcast show. It's been 10 or 12 years called Live Life. So you can go to livelifepodcast.com. It's going to be launching in the next week. But everything that I've said, that if I can inspire you and show you some hope and show you some freedom and show you some good things that you are in control and show you some happiness, come join the podcast. I'll have guests coming in left and right. And because I believe that the only way you're going to continue being successful is moving to a positive nature. And you're only going to get there if you take the change. You got to be the change, and you've got to embrace the journey, I say.
Amen. Hey, thanks again, guys. Happy New Year. And here comes 2021. God bless.
Bye-bye.